Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Ekta and I'm a year 2 podiatry student and I study at the University of Northampton. Here on my channel, I interview podiatrists and also podiatry students for your entertainment and knowledge. Every week we find a podiatrist or a podiatry student that helps students like myself get more insight into the podiatry world. So if you're considering becoming a podiatrist, I think you'll really like my videos and you will probably learn quite a bit. Today I interviewed Reilly, and he is a pediatric surgeon based here in Northampton. You can find Ian on social media, which I will link down in the description box below. If you like my videos, click like. If you dislike my videos, let me know in the comments below how I can improve. Hit that subscribe button and also hit that notification bell so you get updates on every time I release a video, which is every Friday. Take care. Okay. Hi Ian, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. Little tired. It's been a long week.
Oh, well, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. For anybody
You're
that
welcome.
isn't familiar with who you are, would you like to give a small introduction on who you are?
Yeah, sure. I'm just going to turn WhatsApp off in the background
Yeah.
because it pings every time I get a message, and my buddies are kind of going ping, ping, ping. Introduction. Okay, right. Okay. So Ian Reilly.
Yes.
So I qualified. Did you want like a brief bio? Just really brief, Hector? Just
Just who
snapshot.
you are. Like, I'm Ian Reilly. I'm the world's best pediatric surgeon to ever exist. And then
Oh, okay.
any other
So
information you'd like to throw in there.
So I'm not the best podiatric surgeon in my team, and there's two in my team. Actually, there's
Okay.
three. So that's plenty. Jumped up chiropodist really is basically what I am, with aspirations of grandeur. But I think it says on the badge podiatric surgeon. So
Yeah. Did you steal someone's
yeah,
badge?
yeah, no, yeah. This is at Timpson's. You know where you get like the keys cut? They'll make badges, and they don't ask questions. They don't need to see your CV. They'll just
Yeah.
print whatever you want on the badge. They're really cool.
Fantastic. Can I use that for my diploma, for my graduation
Mm.
diploma? She is a podiatrist, don't worry.
Because she's got a
So
badge.
she has a badge. um, so what made you choose podiatry and then what made you choose pediatric surgery later on?
All right. So back in my day, it was called chiropody.
Okay.
Um, so the real answer, okay, so the real answer is my first ever crush when I was 11 years old was a girl called Lisa, and we used
Yes.
to go swimming together.
Uh-huh.
We used to go on a Saturday. We used to go to like a life-saving stuff where you like learn how to save people and
Save
do that.
lives.
kind of. So the question. And so we used to go to this class on a Saturday. I was kind of like a keen swimmer at the time, and she was in the class as well. And so my mother was a chiropodist.
Mhm.
So you know how that goes, having one in the family, right?
Yes, 100%.
So I had no idea. But Lisa, who was like this pretty little redhead, she was like 11 years old, and she wanted to be a chiropodist, and she got chatty with my mum, and she was my first ever crush. And I went, well, I'll be one as well. And that was really
That's adorable. I love it.
kind of slightly geeky and nerdy because really, 11 years old, I don't think I even ever really spoke to her because I was crazy shy,
Yeah.
crazy shy. I mean, just generally shy, but particularly around pretty redheads.
Yeah.
And so
Aw.
that was at age 11. And to think I am 53 now. So
Oh
that was
gosh.
42 years ago. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so we have a lovely 11-year-old girl with red hair to thank in the end.
Yeah.
So
Just
what about pediatric surgery then? Why did you want to do surgery after?
okay. So cool question. So I was coming to my final year of chiropody school, which was 87, 88 in
Hmm.
Salford. And I was with my then girlfriend. I'm seeing a theme here, Hector.
Was
So
it
my
red
then
hair?
yeah, she was blonde. That's another story. Anyway, so she was, and so we wanted to work together. We wanted to kind
Mm,
of like get a job together and be happy ever after.
sure.
And at that time, they were interviewing lots of chiropodists in East Anglia. There's a real
Hmm.
shortage office in East Anglia. So we were in Salford at the time. We both went down to Ipswich and got interviewed, and we both got a job at Ipswich with then boss, lovely chap called Sean McLaughlin. And so I got a job at Ipswich. My then girlfriend decided not to go. Another long story. That would be a cool other video though. But
that would be a cool other video.
Like kind of my first heartbreak. In fact, there's kind of like a wall where my heart used to be, never fully healed.
Oh,
however,
honey.
so I went to Ipswich.
No.
It's kind of sad, isn't it? So I went on my own, and that was that. And on my top, knew nobody, and they were just setting up a surgery unit. So this was, again, this is now 32 years ago. 32 years ago, and they were just setting up what was then called ambulatory foot surgery, which is really just like a hammer toe and incisional nail unit. It's quite a basic unit by today's standards.
Okay.
And so I just really looked out in terms of my first ever job, which was miles away from home. They were setting up a surgery unit, and I'd never really heard about this before. Salford they had a very little interest at the time in pod surgery.
Okay.
And it was just a case I was just really lucky to get a job there, and just kind of went in, and literally when I went for the interview on that day, which would be about February of my final year, they were doing the theory course, and we ended up, Sean, who was interviewing me, took me for lunch, and then there was all these would-be podiatrists was the term then, because it was chiropody and podiatry, so they were then podiatrists doing podiatric surgery. So I ended up having lunch with these guys, and I went, well, you can do this, you can do like hammer toes. And so, when that job offer came up, even though my then girlfriend didn't take the job, I kind of went, well, okay, I'm going anyway. That was that. And then waited a few years and managed to get a place in the unit, and then they trained me.
Oh, wow. Okay. And do you have any regrets with podiatric surgery? Are you happy with the career transition you have right now?
Okay, so I absolutely love podiatry. I absolutely love podiatric surgery. I probably work harder now than I did 5 and 10 years ago.
Really?
All those kind of things on the board behind me, they're all papers that we've written as my team in the last 18 months. So we're quite active, we're increasing some of the research profile. Not all high level systematic reviews, don't get me wrong. We work hard, we love it. But my daughter came to kind of think about doing something in the medical field. And she said, hey, Dad, what about, podiatry pod surgery? And I said, look, pod surgery is brilliant, but it is hard doing surgeries in non-medic. I mean, in the place that I work, people know me, that I've got a fairly good skill set and people accept what I do.
Yeah.
But, every time you meet a new doctor, there's just a little bit. So I met a new orthopedic surgeon last week, and there's always a little dancing around about what do you do, and you're not really a doctor, and that means you're not really. And sometimes that's amusing, sometimes it's less amusing. So it's hard being a surgeon as a non-doctor. It's easier now because we've got independent prescribing, we've got a really good course, and we can kind of go, do you know what? I've done 2,500 bunions, so I know my way in and out of a big toe.
Yeah.
But it was difficult to recommend that route to my daughter, if I'm honest, because it's hard. And that's not decrying the choices I've made. I'm really glad I'd make it. But I think in some ways, it would have been easier to be a foot surgeon as a doctor.
Okay.
It's probably more to make it as an orthopedic foot and ankle guy. I know a few people have tried. But that's not, I'm not unhappy with my choice at all.
Yeah.
And I certainly recommend give it a go, but it's a hard choice. And it's hard because there's still not that many of them, and it's hard to kind of break through. And there's some bottlenecks in terms of training opportunities, which we'll talk about, and then career opportunities and salaries. But I think if you've got a passion, and I don't want to say we're all failed medics, but if you don't make it into medical school, this is another good option.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's really good that you do have that rational side of looking at a career, because it's quite easy to say, like, when you're promoting something, like, oh yeah, like I absolutely love this, and I think people should go do this, which is good in and of itself, but you need to have that like realistic sense, like, okay, well, there are pros and cons to picking any career, and these are my pros and cons. Doesn't mean I hate it because I've put in time and effort to get where I am, but you need to have like a realistic way of looking at things. Again, it is super important to love what you're doing too. So I really like that. That's actually a really good answer. So how do you connect? How do you tie to the University of Northampton? Because I know you used to be a lecturer at University of
Yeah.
Northampton. Did you
So
have any ties before that?
no, so that was 20 years ago. So I
Okay.
was up in Cumbria at the time.
Okay.
So I trained in Ipswich and I'd managed to kind of get qualified as a pod surgeon there. And then it was time to fly the nest and kind of go out and be my own guy. And I tried to set up in Cumbria. We managed to get something going, but it was difficult.
Okay.
Uh, wasn't at the time with funding. It was difficult. We were just getting a little service going, and it was a bit too hard. These are the real life challenges. I moved my family and kids from one end of the country to the other to kind of try and get into the next gig up. And we managed to get some surgery going, but it was kind of too hard.
Okay.
And job came up at Northampton University where there was a small surgical service as part of the lecturing program, and I had a move. So the family moved down again. So they went from Ipswich to Cumbria to Northampton. So I joined them in 2000. So I was full-time lecturer there in 2001, 2002.
Okay.
They had a small surgical service, and there was also a small surgical service in the NHS unit. So bizarrely, in a town Northampton size, there was two small surgical units, NHS and education. And long story short, we combined them, and I moved back into the NHS, and then we've built it up over a number of years, and it's a decent unit now.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
In terms of links, I'll just finish off that story. So I
Yes.
carried on doing some lecturing with the guys, and the students come through on placement. You'll come through on placement in your last year. And then my colleague, George Flanagan, who made consultant the end of last year.
Okay.
So we're a two consultant service now. He started doing the surgery module. So for years, it had been run by the guy who took over after me when I stopped running that module way back when. So when he retired, Paul Beeson, did you know Paul at all, Hector? Was he kind of pre?
No, he I think he had just left by the time I started. I started in 2019. So I think he may have left either a year or two before that.
Yeah. So Paul, PhD, super good lecturer, really clever guy. He'd run that module for 15 years, probably after I left, took it over from me.
Yeah.
Paul was going to go down a surgical route as well, and was very, had a great set of lectures.
Yeah.
But when he retired, I kind of jumped in with the university and said, "Hey guys, I know you're looking for a new podiatrist to take over, Paul's role, but you're probably not going to get anybody who's got that surgical experience as Paul had."
Yeah.
My colleague, would kind of like to do that, and they've kind of taken him on, and so he's run now, just come through the end of his second year doing their third year pod surgery module lectures, and he's absolutely loving it. So hopefully we'll build some stronger ties with the university, because we've been going the research route for the last about 4 or 5 years, trying to get more and more involved with research as a team.
Yes.
And so we've been having some discussions with some of the prof guys at the university, saying, if you've got the kind of the academic minerals to help us, we've got the patient base and the aspirations, the motivations. Can we kind of do something? We've got some aspirations to do some stuff.
Oh, that's brilliant. Okay. So we've already talked about the pros and cons. So what are the pros and cons of pediatric surgery? Should we go into more detail about that, or were you happy with what we've
said? The biggest con is it's kind of tough. So in terms of you do your 3 years undergraduate, then you need to do a master's. So probably a good time to just reflect on what the process is to go from being a podiatrist to look like I do. Now, when I say that, I mean Senator Palpatine from Star Wars. Are you familiar with that reference?
Yes, I love Star Wars.
I didn't know, because I've got food in the freezer older than you are, Hector, so I didn't know if you can. Anyway. So
definitely. My mom brought me up on Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. So I'm a huge nerd, and I don't like to publicize that too often. But here we are.
They're turning Lord of the Rings into a book now, which is, I think it's brilliant. So anyway, I digress. So it's 3 years undergraduate, and then 3 years a master's program, which now you can do full time. So a 1 year full time master's program, theory of pod surgery. So you kind of have to go through surgical theory a bit, and then you are competitively interviewed for a training slot. So we've got about 40 students on the master's program at the moment, but there aren't, unfortunately, 40 training slots up down the country. We've trained 3 people. Well, I've trained 3 people in Northampton. Unfortunately, my slot is kind of gone at the moment because my training's become a registrar. So I want to kind of see him through to consultant. So I haven't got a training slot at the moment per se, but there's a shortage of places. So that's one of the things that I would say to my colleagues who are out there as consultant pod surgeons in good units who haven't taken on any trainees. You guys, you kind of need to provide some opportunities for our next gen. So then it's 2 to 3 years as a surgical trainee. You then get your part 1 and part 2 fellowship, and then 3 years as a registrar to make consultant level. So it's a long old graft, and the opportunities are few in terms of number. And then guys struggle to get that consultant gig. So those of you who go off and make it, I've had 2 of my trainees now have made consultant, which is great, and they're doing great, and that's wonderful. We just need to grow and expand, and it's difficult. We're trying as a profession to help with increasing the training numbers, blah blah blah. But yeah, that's probably the biggest con.
Okay. How do you think we can increase opportunities, or is it more of just an organizational thing that there aren't many opportunities at the moment?
So opportunities, great opportunities. So we've tried to pull and push some of our colleagues. I can think of some guys who I won't name, but who are just fantastic surgeons in great units, in great hospital departments, who've never had a trainee. And it's just, and somebody trained us, we should train the next generation. So some of my colleagues need to bother their arse and actually develop a training unit. But funding's an issue. So of my 3 guys I trained, they all came through free. So for 2 days a week for 3 years, they didn't get paid. And
that doesn't motivate anybody.
So that sucks, right?
Yeah, that does suck.
So George, who's a consultant now, when he was a trainee, he lives up in Lancashire. So he'd come down on a Tuesday, 3 o'clock in the morning, work Tuesday, Wednesday, drive back Wednesday night, and was only being paid 3 days a week when he wasn't with me. So we've sorted that out over the years. So funding's an issue. So if you can get funding, then that will open up opportunities, and then it will kind of grow. That's yeah. But the stuff's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that could get a little political, so I won't go too much into it, but I agree. I think that's a really good tip. Opportunities do create more opportunities. What are your thoughts on, just to kind of get more surgical, what are your thoughts on fat pad grafts? And do you recommend them?
Yes. I mean, not. You mean grafting fat, or do you mean grafting something?
Grafting, just like for fat pads when it deteriorates over time, like just under your heel. I think this came up in one of our classes, and we didn't go into too much detail about it, but I kind of thought that if I'm talking to you anyways, so I was wondering if I may as well poke your brain about it and see what you feel.
Yeah. So you didn't see my YouTube videos on it then?
No, I haven't. No, I saw one video where you were packing antibiotics into a toe.
Yep.
And I'm not gonna lie, I looked at it and I had to look away. I had to just walk away from my computer screen.
I have to look away as well. I'm kind of like this. I don't like the yicky stuff. So so I've been doing fillers on and off for about 10 years. Gone through different phases. I'm using a different version. I used to use silicone, but unfortunately silicone got a bit of a bad press with there's like a silicone breast scandal about 6-8 years ago, so maybe longer. So that went off the market a little bit. So I've done that on and off for quite a few years. I'm back using Sculpture at the moment. I don't do many. I see some patients who've got loss of fibrofatty padding, and I've done some for heel pain as well.
Yeah.
And I think it's got a use. I really do. I think it's something we should kind of do more of. As with everything, it's about being able to show that you had good training, have skills and the ability to apply, and also know when not to apply.
Yeah.
And command complications. So a buddy of mine down in Kent, chap called Akbal Randhawa, who's got a website called Pillows for Feet. Akbal's been doing it for 15, 20 years, got trained in the US. Probably our most experienced pod. And I've sent quite a few patients down to him actually when I was kind of in and out of doing it. And we've been talking for the last 3 years about putting together a course, getting it accredited through the college, because we're all about robust training and actually running the course. So I've got a ton of patients. We both got a ton of paperwork, and we just need to find 5 minutes to do the course. And 3 years later, we're still talking about it. And I'm slightly embarrassed to say that, but I'm a fan in a nutshell.
Okay, brilliant. That is good to know, actually. What are your tips for students that want to go into do surgery after they graduate from podiatry, do you think that they should take some time, get some experience in the NHS, or would it be ideal to go straight into a master's?
Okay. So it used to be that you couldn't go straight into the master because we wanted you to have a couple of years just down in practice before. Because even if you just spend a lot of time doing routine work, you'll see pathology and you'll get kind of used to kind of managing the patients. You need to consolidate your undergraduate knowledge, and we've kind of gone away from that, which is a bit of a shame, really. So the first thing is that when you start on the master's program, you basically have to relearn everything. So some of the students at your level, not you, Hector, but some of your colleagues, will learn something for an exam, and then the day after, forget about it. Okay.
Yep. No, that's 100% me.
Okay. I've not seen your grade yet, but I hear rumours, but that's that it's just hearsay. So the first thing you do is you know all that kind of stuff. So it's not just a case of saying, "Hey, anatomy is kind of cool." You need to know that shit.
It has to be it has to be part of your system.
Being just knowing all that stuff.
Yeah.
What was that film? It was out a couple of years ago. As a young kid, and he wanted to be a jazz drummer. Miles Teller, and the older guy got the Oscar for it. I can't think of the name of the film. I should have googled it. Are you a film buff? Obviously not.
No, not a huge one.
Anyway,
I only like the nerdy stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, he wants to be this awesome jazz drummer.
Yeah.
And he's got this really aggressive teacher, and he realizes the only way he can do this is if he does everything into it. So basically, he finishes with his girlfriend. They really love each other, just so he can become this awesome drummer. So that's what you need to do. Okay. You need to get, any boyfriend or girlfriend, you need to adios them, you need to get out. Okay. You need to get yourself maybe a cat, maybe two, and to learn to knit and have no life.
Okay, I think, are you stalking me? Because that is literally my life. I want cats and I like knitting. I'm not good at it, but I do enjoy knitting.
I didn't see that.
Really hard.
Well, how are you going to sew patients together if you can't knit?
This is true. Yeah, knitting. How about crochet? Are we still iffy on crochet?
Is that the racket? Is that the game you play on the lawn with the hoops?
Yeah. No, that's lacrosse.
No, that's croquet.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, this is hard.
Yeah, I always get those two mixed up. So basically, you need to kind of work your ass off for a load of years, and then keep working your ass off, because we are in competition in a kind of a laissez-faire way with orthopedics.
Okay.
Those guys, I'm the last person to ever say anything negative about orthopedics, because those guys are awesome.
Yes.
They go to med school, they get a medical degree, they bust their chops to get trained in orthopedics, which is a really tough in. They work their ass off, and then they specialize and they work their ass off some more. And the youngsters coming through now, they've got, by the time they qualify, they've got proper presentations and publications out. And they're the guys that we are in a competition. I mean that with a small c. So, we need to be as good as those guys at what we do. Otherwise, what is the point? And the jump from, at least in my day, from being a chiropodist to a podiatric surgeon is kind of big. Certainly these days now, there are a shit ton of brilliant podiatrists in research and MSK, that kind of thing. Like my buddy Ian Griffiths, who's just phenomenal at sports rehab and all that kind of stuff, and just super cool. And we've got researchers like Emma Cowley and Jill Halstead, who I just worship. Those two ladies, I just so admire their ability and their brains, and they're really nice people with it as well. And we've got some great pods, but the leap from practice to surgery is huge. So you've got to be on it. You've got to want it. You've got to continue to want it, because our patients deserve it, Hector. If 100%. We're going to do, that lady's bunion surgery, we need to be at least as good as the best guy in town at doing that. Otherwise, do something.
Yeah, do something else. I 100% agree. Quick question though. What part of the foot are pediatric surgeons restricted to? Is it just the forefoot? Is it... I've lost you there. Hello? Oh no. Hello? I'm just going to quickly pause.
Oh, yeah, that was me. I have the crappiest Wi-Fi in the world. We're back on.
Okay. Did you hear my question? Would you like me to repeat it very quickly?
No, you said quick question, and I said you might not get a quick answer though, which was...
I didn't hear that. Sorry. So what part of the foot are pediatric surgeons limited to? Is it just the forefoot?
No.
Okay.
The scope of practice is the foot and related structures. So
Okay.
when I qualified, I was doing simple bunion surgery and
Yeah.
hammer toe surgery and maybe the odd lump and bump. But,
Okay.
now we do, certainly in our team, we're doing flat foot surgery. We
Mm-hmm.
do diabetic work. George, my colleague, is developing some skills in that. He's done all kinds of big amputations. Up to the ankle, I'll do some ankle work. I won't do an ankle fusion, ankle replacement. That's probably a little bit above my pay grade.
Sure.
I can scope, but I'm not good at it at all. But it's a foot related structure. So case we did on Tuesday was a bad case of plantar fasciitis. So guess what we did for a case of plantar fasciitis, Hector? Guess what the surgery was?
What was it?
Gastroc release.
No, really?
Oh yeah. So the biggest causative etiological exciting factor for fasciitis is equinus. So probably 2 times out of 3 if we operate on these now. We don't operate on many.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do a gastroc release. So we're kind of tickling away the back of the calf and going away.
Okay. Well, bye-bye gastroc. I guess we didn't need you. So what's your favorite foot surgery to do?
Do you know I really like a Morton's neuroma? I really like a Morton's neuroma. They're kind of I love a bunion, but probably more
Yeah.
kind of one of my favorites because I do a plantar incision for my neuromas and I get some grief for that for my colleagues because plantar was always taught don't do a plantar incision, and so
Why?
I like to swim against the tide a little bit if I think there's a good reason to do that. So
Right, yeah, because you're going through a lot of layers. Where
yeah,
it would be easier to do it like on the
it is.
dorsum aspect, yeah.
Yeah. It's not easy to do it on the dorsum. It's easy to do it on the plantar, but you can scar. And I love ganglion surgery as well because every ganglion you do is different. They're all
Right.
different, and where they kind of come from. So they're fun to do. So I like the soft tissue and skin surgery. So I'm hoping next year with my good friend Belinda Longhurst, she's one of my best friends, but she's kind of also one of my podiatric heroes. She is
Oh,
phenomenal in her dermatology knowledge. Oh my God. We've been teaching verruca stuff for a few years. I think we've done
okay.
it for about 5 years. And we do a course on verruca needling. Every single time I've seen Belinda speak, somebody's
Yeah.
asked her a derm question, always got more knowledge. Every time I come away thinking, you're just so awesome. And she's so lovely with it as well. So Belinda
Oh,
and I were hoping to start doing skin surgery for podiatrist courses next year so that we can
okay.
get pods doing some, soft skin lumps and bumps, maybe some
Yeah.
incisional nail, simple flaps, maybe some simple foreign body removals.
That's
So
very cool. I wonder if I can steal her very quickly, so she can give us a lecture on dermatology because we're not doing dermatology this year. Well, I think we're doing it in our third year. Um, so I wonder if I could steal her very quickly.
she's awesome, and just so professional, and
Yeah.
yeah, just have nothing but good words to say about Belinda. I'm afraid. I hope
Do you know
she's
what?
not.
I hope she is.
She's really modest as well, and she
Yeah.
hates being bigged up. She just hates it.
Oh
Um,
gosh. Actually, you know what? I must give you a compliment. Like you're really
old, scary.
okay, let me give you another compliment. No, I think you're so great when it comes to complimenting other people. Like even like when you were complimenting me very quickly, I just couldn't digest it. But it just seems to come so naturally to you, and I think that's such a great trait to have in anybody.
It's not difficult to find good in people, though, is it? I mean,
It's not.
I'm kind of like practicing to be like a Buddhist or a Catholic, but it's so it's generally okay.
Yeah.
Take a Chris Evans sideways talk, but it's kind of easy to find the bad in people, but
Yeah.
everybody's got so much good. But when you get people who, and if you surround yourself with good people,
Yes.
it's that thing. If you're not the most intelligent person in the room, or if you are the most intelligent person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And
Yes.
I've been lucky to meet people who, challenge and inspire and motivate me. And maybe in some small way, I've done that for other people. I've
Oh
probably
yeah.
kept yours back. If
You're honestly like you're such a hero at the University of Northampton. Like we all talk about you. Manju really loves and respects you, and she always talks about you. And we all just we're dying. Like we kind of wish that we had you back when you were teaching.
Yeah, and the reasons are because I'm my sense of humour and the undergraduates back in my day, you could
Yeah.
tell the kind of jokes that I used to tell, but now I can't. And it's kind of like you can't do those gags anymore. So
No, you need to have a crazy sense of humor when if you're a podiatrist. I think it's essential.
Fine, but my sense of humor can be a little bit,
Okay, so before we go on to the funny questions, do you have any last words of wisdom that you think we could definitely all benefit from?
In relation to pod surgery generally, Hector, really?
Anything you'd like to give us advice on, anything you'd think fits the moment. So whether it's podiatry or just general life advice.
Okay, first thing to say is we don't own the foot. We kind of think in podiatry we do, because it's kind of at the end of the foot and at the end of the leg, excuse me, and then it belongs to us.
Yeah.
And I love that we're a great profession with great skills. But there's a cohort of podiatrists that go, hey, we should own the foot. We're the foot and ankle experts. And you know what? Some of us are, most of us are not. Mm-hmm. So most of us, if we get a skin condition that would need to go to dermatology, who of us is doing acute trauma? None of us. What about malignancy? What about advanced rheumatology? What if we're going to see a patient with active gout? How many people are actually going to prescribe allopurinol and manage with colchicine? Yeah. What if we've got a patient who's got a very tricky neuropathy, let alone surgery? So I think we need to continue to expand. And if you look at how podiatry is in the US, lots of those guys really do own the foot more because they've got better training. So I think ambition and motivation, but with some humility and some realizations to where we are, and accept that maybe a tiered foot health service is the way to go. Now, when I was qualified back in '88, and my mother was the same, we were spending 4 days a week out of 5 cutting toenails and doing corns, and I love routine practice. Yeah. But just because we have a degree doesn't mean we own the right to cut everybody's toenails, and other people may well do that with sufficient training. Yeah. I think in terms of foot health practitioners, I'm well aware some of the guys out there have got a level of knowledge and ability that makes me kind of go cold. But I think we ought to think about trying to advance a profession like this rather than like this, trying to keep everything back here. So it may be that we do this. Mm-hmm. Not everybody can become a specialist. Sure, but don't pretend just because you've got a degree that you're a doctor. Yeah. And by the way, we are, members of the Health and Care Professions Council, not Medical General Council. And in terms of academia, know your anatomy. If you don't know your anatomy, you can't diagnose. So anatomy is like my biggest. Yeah. You should know that stuff. And then pharmacology, because if you know your pharmacology, you can understand your pathophysiology. But to understand pathophys, you've got to understand histology, and it all builds up.
It's all connected. That's fantastic advice. I absolutely love that. And I hope any student that's watching that really takes that into consideration. Okay, time for the funny questions. Are you ready?
I'll have a go.
All right. What are you going to do when you retire?
What's that word, retire, again? This is a word I'm not familiar with.
What are you doing tomorrow? I'm joking.
Working. I should be working. So this weekend, I'm doing a paper on the moment on injection therapy, and I'm doing a medical legal report. So I don't understand the word retire. I will die with my boots on, or if I can't work anymore, I will fish. Fishing is my thing.
Ooh, that's good. Fishing is great. I really want to know how to fish. I kind of want to I entertain the idea, but I never really go through it. Yeah, in my head, I'm fishing.
I've fished in Manitoba before.
Have you? Yeah. Which lake?
Lake Winnipeg.
Did you? That's fantastic. No wonder you came back very quickly. So, what food do you love the most that people would find odd?
Oh, well, food I love the most is curry. So that's not really odd. What food do I love? No. I kind of love all food, really.
Okay. Is there anything that's a little bit kind of that makes people go, oh, I don't think I'd eat that?
Black pudding. I love black pudding.
What's that? What is that? What's
blood
black
sausage.
Pudding?
Blood sausage.
A blood sausage? So, oh gosh.
Stuck in a sausage. It's kind of like haggis, which is kind of like heart, lungs, oatmeal in a sheep's bladder. So all of that's good.
Oh, yikes. Okay. I think we found it. I think we found the line. What's the most common question you get once you tell people what you do?
Can you just have a look at this? I get that I get that a lot.
I got that on a date once. I had to leave. It was horrible. What are some of your guilty pleasures?
Chocolate, but unfortunately I'm allergic to chocolate, so if I eat too much, my stomach swells.
Oh no. What do you do?
That's a gag. That's a gag. Allergy, swelling,
Oh,
but actually just being fat. Okay.
oh
What I'll
God.
do is I'll write the gags down beforehand so you can.
No, I'm
I'll
just
put
really vapid.
here.
Oh God, that's embarrassing. I'm gonna show myself out now. What tells you the most about a person? I know this is not really a funny question, but this is not
No,
food
it's not.
related.
Eyes and handshake.
Okay. Do you want to explain that? Yeah.
And then a
And
firm hand,
handshake. Okay.
especially for blokes. But if
Yeah.
you're a female with a strong handshake, that's cool. If you're a guy that avoids contact with a limp handshake, okay, that's all I need to know.
Fair enough. Before we end the interview, do you have a few foot jokes that you'd like to share with us?
It's not a joke, but I had a patient this morning, and
Oh no.
so I'd had to amputate his hallux 2 weeks ago because of diabetes.
Okay.
It's not funny in itself, right?
Nope.
And he comes to see me today, and he's been really nauseous, and he can't drink milk.
Okay.
And he said, Mr. Reilly, since you chopped my hallux off 2 weeks ago, I've not been able to drink milk, and I'm really nauseous. I said, oh, Peter, you're lactose intolerant. That was a genuine laugh, wasn't it? Oh, cool.
That's terrible.
Are you laughing with me or at me? I can't tell. It could just be the delay on Zoom.
I'm not going to explain. That's fantastic. I love it. Oh my God. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to entertain my silly questions and my silly questions more. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. I hope you don't torture any more patients, but I kind of want these stories. So I hope you do.
Very nice to meet. Please edit this out, make it look like I'm not a complete, psychopath. That'd be really nice. If you can kind of like an albino, that'd be awesome. Better yet, take a Brad Pitt photo and kind of do one of those like deep fakes and make me look,
Okay, yeah. Brad Pitt when he was younger, because Brad Pitt's not so cute anymore. But yeah, I gotcha.
I would take his face over mine in an instant. God, this is a face only a mother could love. It would shock a police horse. And before I go, say hi to your mum as well.
Thank you so much. See you.
Have a nice Christmas.
You too, Bye.